Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Ben, aka the Fuse Box. I am coming back, doing more live streams, bringing on more guests. Once again, I have risen from the grave, ladies and gentlemen. And tonight, I have a very special guest. It is the Libertarian Goth herself, famous on the Twitter for being dark and edgy. I have been following Libertarian Goth for a while. I saw your awesome weight loss journey, which was very inspiring. And now you've become pretty famous.
I wouldn't say that, but thank you. I'm very flattered.
Yes, indeed. So, let's see. First off, let me ask, what is the appeal of being a goth?
As far as appeal, I don't know. Just for me, it feels, I guess, comfortable. As it's who I am. It's kind of an appeal to a certain darkness. Not just the clothing, but in a way, there's an attitude. There's like an inner melancholy, and it's just like sad songs make you happy, or something like that. It just like stories about like the stuff that like the high ups, like romance, and then the down lows, like death, and how bringing them together in a way is just dark, and there's a beauty behind it, and it's just something that is very enveloping into a person's psyche in a way, to have such an appreciation for the dark, the melancholy, and the great things like love, because there's a romantic part of the goth side too. Love and death is a very common theme among the gothic arts and music.
I can see that, because I remember when I was coming up, like, I knew goth types and all, but I always associated it with death and decay.
That's not completely wrong. You know, it's yeah. I think that's a good argument and a good observation. That is actually kind of part of it there, because there's a beauty in decay too.
I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess, in a way, a poetic mind. I don't want to say like, oh, I'm so poetic, but that there's kind of a poetic nature to the sad, decay and loss and death.
Well, I can definitely see that when it comes to sadness. Most definitely, there is a beauty in that. But yeah, I've always been kind of the opposite, I guess. I need the sun. I need brightness.
Yeah.
I need hope.
That's kind of like the weird thing about goths. If you know any goth persons, like, in person, like, even me, like, you hear me, I sound very peppy, I'm very smiley.
Yes.
I'm very friendly. That's just how I operate. It's how I am. And a lot of goths really are like that. That's just, but there's this meme I saw, actually. It was about metalheads, but it's the same kind of deal. Like they're all at a table laughing, smiling, joking, just very animated. And then somebody says, "Okay, smile," pulls out a camera, and they all go serious. So it's kind of like that. It's just like, personality wise, despite having that darkness and inner melancholy, you just try to enjoy life.
Huh. Well, that's definitely better than, I guess, the stereotype I had in my head of it. But I mean, I guess it was because, like, following your account, I never got quite the goth vibe. I mean, I definitely did in the way, like, you dress and style. But I always felt like you were way more positive and welcoming, like, much more welcoming than I was used to.
Yeah, well, so this has been, I say year 23 of my goth phase. I had a normie phase in that 23 years. The normie phase, I was still had the same interests, so some could arguably say that I never stopped being goth. So um, the normie stuff did not feel right for me. I wasn't very comfortable in it. It didn't feel like I could really express myself, or that it just in general felt comfortable. But as far as how any kind of vibes you would get from like my page, um, in a way, it's kind of a very goth thing. Is that you see the world as a very dark place. The world is very dark and cruel. I try to do my best to put the smallest bit of light as possible in such a dark, cruel world, and being positive and being friendly is the best way I can do that. Like when I end my own streams, I always say, always lead with kindness, unless they don't deserve it.
Yeah. I think that's a good philosophy to have. I think, because yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of horrible stuff. I mean, we see it on Twitter every day. But you know, it's good to approach life with a light heart, and I would say a little bit of dry wit and humor.
Yeah, I'm very much love humor, memes, and like trolling. Like I'm an old school troll. I've been trolling since like before, like it was even a thing or a term, like back in the late '90s, early 2000s and stuff. So I'm very much like a laugh. You know, I'm a very, you know, giggly kind of person in real life, but I do have that inner melancholy and appreciation for a lot of the macabre stuff, and that's what differentiates me from like any other girl with kind of a similar peppy personality, is that I am drawn to that kind of stuff, just naturally, just kind of what I feel is beautiful.
Nice. So, what kind of music are you into?
I kind of have a wider range. However, the range there's like okay, back in the 80s or like early 80s, late 70s, whenever goth music first started, there was only really kind of one type of goth music. It's kind of branched out to a lot of subgenres now. And then some say that to be goth is to be, you know, a fan of those kind of music. So a lot of what I listen to actually does fall under that goth umbrella, and I don't do that on purpose. It's just what I like. So I listen to stuff like I'm always talking about Orgy. I'm like obsessed with Jake Orton. So like Orgy is a big one. My favorite band is Him. Some people actually are in dispute if Him is considered goth or not, but they have very goth undertones. So I like a lot of stuff that falls under the goth music umbrella. You know, Scream Silence, Lacrimas Profundere, you know, bands like that. However, I also like melodic death metal.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I love melodic death metal. So in a way, I'm too metal for the goths and too goth for the metalheads. So.
See, I always associated those two, goth and metal. Like I always thought those were kind of the same.
No, because the joke is at concerts, goths will kind of sway, whereas metalheads like mosh.
Oh yeah. Okay, I can see that.
Like there's a softness and then there's a hardness. However, like when it comes to like couples, metalhead guys and goth girls go together like peanut butter and jelly. They just balance each other out so perfectly. Like even on Twitter, I see other goth girls and they're like, my guy's a metalhead. I'm like, yeah, I keep seeing that kind of combination all over. It's just like perfect.
I remember when I was younger, my best friends were really into like hard rock and metal and stuff, and I think it was because they were so into it, I kind of went the opposite route. I went rap and hip hop, and now I like EDM a lot, as you can probably tell.
Yeah, and I've got turned on to a lot of like electronica and industrial kind of lately. Like the shirt I'm wearing today, it's a Priest shirt. Priest is kind of like a goth electronica kind of band from Sweden. It's got like former members of the band Ghost, which yeah, people see as like a kind of a goth rockish kind of band with like an image, quite an image.
I think I may have actually heard of them because I was on a stream with a hard rock, a metalhead, very recently, and I think he was talking about Priest. I could be wrong,
Priest.
but I believe, yeah.
It's possible. They're starting to gain some traction.
And Titanic wants to know Woods of Ypres.
Not familiar.
Oh, well, shit. But he's a Christian goth, and I find that to be an interesting combo.
It actually is it if you think about it, because of course there's Gothic cathedrals, but there's a lot of in the Gothic fashion is tied a lot to, a lot of styles that kind of are tied back to Christianity. Crosses are a big thing, and not even upside down crosses, just like right side up crosses, and there's a lot of also very, conservative apparel that it really stems back to almost church wear. So that actually doesn't surprise me.
Oh yeah, I guess I always considered those kind of opposites, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bad person,
No, you're not a bad person.
But let's see. So on Twitter a lot, I see you obviously doing a lot of political posts, but I was curious as to what you're into in terms of like TV and movies.
Well, movies. I do like horror, which is kind of a little stereotypical. I like. I'm a total nerd, and I do like stuff like Harry Potter, the Hunger Games, but I also love the Hunger Games books because I like that kind of goes to the political thing because that's a dystopian kind of
oh god, yeah,
story. And I love dystopian novels like 1984, which is just absolutely frightening.
Yes.
So,
well, we're living it, but
yes, it's getting there. It really is, and it's scary. So movies wise, I like that. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and stuff. So the Tolkien stuff. So I like a lot of like the whole, nerd franchise stuff. Star Wars, the Marvels, the MCU, and not the latest MCU.
I was about to ask.
No, it's not that great anymore. Like it kind of. I'm not gonna get into it, but.
You can get into it a little bit if you want to, because I have no problem complaining about it.
Yeah, well, I actually have a Loki tattoo on my foot. So
oh, wow.
I'm really into it. Like, Loki is like my number one. I have like a ton of Loki apparel. I even cosplayed as a female Loki once and actually won an award at a cosplay contest. So I'm very much a nerd, big time Loki fan. And as far as the MCU goes, Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame, I was a mess. I cried almost the entire time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. As soon as, the beginning of Infinity War, which I'm sure if you've seen it, I'm not going to do spoilers just in case somebody hasn't seen it, but because of
What's Infinity War?
Avengers Infinity War?
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, so, because of what happens in the beginning of that movie, I'm sure you know why I was crying. And then I just kept crying the whole time. And then the whole, I don't want to go, I was a wreck. I was gone. I was absolutely gone. And then, by the time, Endgame came on, and the whole, on your left, I was out. I was just, I was inconsolable at certain parts in both movies. Absolutely inconsolable. So, yeah, I love the MCU. Of course, the Spider-Man No Way Home was good with the multiverse aspect in it.
Yeah.
And then Endgame and before. So that's basically, yeah. Deadpool was great, Deadpool Wolverine, because it's newly now MCU. But other than that, anything Endgame and before, yeah, except Captain Marvel was not that great.
Oh, yeah. I never even watched Captain Marvel. I skipped it. And I I did watch some of WandaVision, and I actually really liked it at first.
I like WandaVision. I love Wanda though.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked the first part of the show just because it was a really different and unique take for this series. But then by the end of it, it was like, okay, yeah, next, you know.
Well, I'm very partial to Wanda because she is a character that has so much pain. Like, she's extremely powerful, like, beyond, like, pretty much any of the Avengers. Even in the comic book, she's one of the most powerful, you know, mutants. But, you know, she's just got all this pain. And
Yeah.
in WandaVision, she creates this entire world out of her own pain and out of her grieving her expectations that she had for her life. And I thought it was, in a way, poetically sad and beautiful all at once. And I think, what's her name? Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, Elizabeth Olsen. I think she plays that emotion, that heavy emotion that Wanda carries. I think she plays it absolutely beautifully. It is definitely a very heavy emotion to play because for a character that has seen so much loss, so much grief, and the way that the MCU developed Wanda, I thought was absolutely beautiful. I think she's very relatable for those who have a lot of pain and grief inside. And I don't know. I thought it was just, I thought it was wonderful. I personally have nothing bad to say about Elizabeth Olsen, that character, how she portrayed her and how they developed her in the MCU. Now, I know it does differ from the comics, but the whole MCU does anyway.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I really appreciated it and thought it was great. I just thought that Wanda was beautiful in so many ways.
I liked, you know, I'm a writer, so it's like I like to examine character arcs and stuff. So I liked the idea of introducing her changing into a villain, but they really needed to draw that out longer. Like,
Yeah.
it just, they went from 0 to 60. Like, and I mean, and I think the thing I did not like, especially at the end of WandaVision, was how she was clearly doing something that was reprehensible, and yet the characters are acting like she's this hero for doing it. And I'm like, wait, what? It was tonally jarring for me.
I can get that. I can understand that. Because it was completely reprehensible what she was doing. And I'm not saying you want to excuse it because the amount of pain she was in and the grief she held onto. But in a way, I don't think, like, I think she knows how powerful she is, but she doesn't understand how powerful she is. So she has so much that she's holding inside, and then she has all this power, and it just kind of, in a way, took over her, you know?
Oh, definitely. And I mean, again, I love that aspect. I wanted to see that, like, I didn't want to see the world around her validating it. You know what I mean? I wanted to see, I wanted us to see that journey from her perspective, and then everybody else is reacting to just what she's doing. You know, that's, you know, makes a nice tragic figure, like. And that's another reason why I thought that Bucky would have been a much better not Winter Soldier. He would have been a much better Captain America choice, because you can play with the drama of that so well.
Yeah, well, he was Captain America in the comics before.
Yes.
Before Falcon was.
Yeah,
They just skipped him.
Well, I think they were originally building him up to be the next captain, and then at the last minute, Disney was like, nope, you got to go with Falcon. For, you know.
That's sad, because I think that another character that holds so much emotional weight and darkness is Bucky, and you know,
yes.
I think that they should have given him a lot more. Like, granted, they had Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I don't think that did him justice, because Sebastian Stan did such an amazing job portraying that, and you know, he almost gave him legit pain in his eyes when you would see him.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, he played that so beautifully. And he really developed Bucky very well. And I really wish that they did Bucky a lot better than they have. I think they put all their chips onto Falcon more than they have Bucky, and I think Bucky deserved better.
I 100% agree because Winter Soldier is one of my favorite characters in the whole thing because just the idea of like a World War II veteran being captured and then brainwashed, turned into a literal slave by mind and body,
Right.
being forced to work for Nazis. And then when all is said and done and he's freed, it's like I wanted to see more of an exploration of like how's he coping with this new world and and I feel like making him Captain America would have been an awesome symbolic thing, like
Right.
having somebody who was enslaved who's been freed become the symbol of freedom for the world, and also trying to make up for the horrors he feels guilty about by becoming a hero. And then you can play with so much drama with that of like, oh, he's trying to save somebody, but turns out he killed their father or something, and there's this tension there, and people hate him and all that stuff. Like there was so many. It almost writes itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really does, and they kind of touch a little bit on that kind of aspect in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it wasn't good enough for me to have gone back and watched it like a second time. But they did kind of go into that a little bit on how he's adjusting and the whole confronting the fact that he killed so and so and then he's trying to have relationships and such. So they kind of did, but like I said, they didn't really do him justice because they didn't give him enough. That he's such a well-developed character that the potential that he had for the MCU was wasted.
Well, since Loki is your favorite, I have to ask, what did you think about the Loki series?
I thought it was great, and here's why. So Tom Hiddleston, I'm a huge fan of Tom Hiddleston. I actually have his autograph in like this huge Loki like framed thing. So Tom Hiddleston is a method actor. And we all know method actors, they put a lot of development into their characters. They become the characters, and that's essentially. And so the best thing that Disney did was give Tom Hiddleston creative freedom on the show. So, yeah, if you look in the credits, like he's like an executive producer or something like that. So Tom Hiddleston was given a lot of freedom for the show, and being that he is Loki, since as a method actor, he basically forms this character and acts him out. It's almost like a second personality, the way method actors work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He was able to have so much creative freedom, and then the way the series ended, like, it gets me right here. It was the most beautiful thing. Everything just comes in full circle. Like, if you watch from the first Thor to the last Loki season 2 episode, it comes in a full circle, and I thought it was very beautifully done. I think out of all the characters, I think Loki was given the best send-off, and I'm very, very happy about that. In fact, I was such a Loki fan from the beginning, and I knew he had so much potential. There was so much like behind the character, just so much I don't know how to explain it. Just there's so much behind the character, and he was so well developed, and he had like so much realness behind him in terms of like emotion. Like he's been through so much, and Tom Hiddleston portrays that beautifully. And I knew that there had to be some more. And people are like, "Oh, he's just like a villain, whatever." And I'm like, "No, he's not a villain. He's not a villain." I was like, "This guy, like, you gotta understand where he's coming from. He's adopted, and he's been told this and that, and then he's basically told he is what he was raised to hate, and then he sees favoritism growing up, and it's just like there's more to him, and he's such a misunderstood guy." And then it wasn't until the Loki series came out that everyone was like, "You know what? He's kind of cool. Loki's kind of cool." And I'm like, I told you.
See, I thought he was cool before the Loki series.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, you're the guest. You go
No,
first.
I can talk about that. I was gonna say, I actually have my Loki jacket. Like I'm looking at it right now. I could grab it and everything. Like I'm really a huge Loki fan. But yeah, no, he was done well because Disney let Tom Hiddleston have creative freedom. And that episode, I've gone back and watched just that last episode many times. It's just that good.
Nice. See, I didn't like how he was being upstaged by female Loki. That's how that's my thing. Yes.
I think in a way it started to get that way. But I think season 2 brought it back out to where it was supposed to be. Because there's also a thing of like in the first I think episode, Morbius is like or Mobius, he's like you only love yourself, and then he does fall in love. Who does he fall in love with?
Himself.
Yeah.
In another dimension or other timeline.
Yeah, like himself, but a variant of himself. So I think it was necessary for all that, as well as it gave him more of an object to want to do good by. He wanted to save, especially her. He was in love with her, who was him. Who was, yeah. So I think I think it was good that they kind of put so much behind her, but the fact that they came back around with season 2 and brought it back around to him, I thought it was beautifully done. I have no complaints about the Loki series.
Well, I think my favorite stuff with Loki, well, first of all, I liked it better when Loki and Thor were speaking in that Shakespearean English. I don't like how they just kind of switched it off, for the comedy aspect.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite stuff with him was actually in Ragnarok, because I have a few complaints about Ragnarok, but I liked how they played with the brother dynamic. I liked how they showed, like, it wasn't just like, okay, Thor tries to reach out to him, he betrays him, that's it. It's like, now the dynamic is changing. It's like, okay, Thor kind of reaches a point where he's like, Loki, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, like, I can't stop that. I gotta move on. And Loki being Loki's like, well, wait a minute, I don't want you to move on. Hold on, come back. Like,
yeah, and it's great that they finally went into that, because you see them, of course, interact, and they're supposed to be brothers, but then you really see that bond, that they really do have a bond, which I thought was great that they went into that. And then it kind of makes, when you look at the previous ones, that you're like, okay, this is kind of what it all brought to, that they have this bond, and this is kind of what it built up to get to these points. And I think Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston have amazing chemistry, so I thought that was great. Like, apparently they're also they've bonded a lot in real life, and
oh yeah,
I think that really helps their chemistry on screen, and that they did great portraying a couple of feuding brothers.
Definitely. So let's see. Are you into video games at all?
Yeah, it kind of. I used to play World of Warcraft many years ago, and Counter-Strike. Actually, in high school, I played Counter-Strike Source.
Oh, lordy.
That was fun. I was actually in a Counter-Strike clan at one point. Let's see. Like it was funny. Speaking of that, like I was a cheerleader in high school, which is like kind of weird because yeah, I was actually head cheerleader and everything.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I would go to this internet cafe and play Counter-Strike Source between school and the basketball game in my cheerleading like full get up. So you see this cheerleader like with like the headphones and just like with the mouse and like the like AWD whatever, just like here just like talking on there and just like yeah, just playing, just gaming on Counter-Strike. So there was a lot of older guys that were a bit pervs, but they let me play for free because of that.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So I could play for free because I was this cute cheerleader girl, and they just kind of like, yeah. But I also played God of War a bit on the PlayStation.
Ah.
Yeah, I love God of War. Great.
I love the first one the most.
Yeah, I beat the first one. I think I beat the second one. I don't remember. It's so long ago, but I loved the first and the second.
Definitely.
But, I don't think I played much of the other one. And of course, I've played Hogwarts Legacy. I've beaten it once as a Ravenclaw on my PS5. I have it on the Switch. I'm still playing it on the Switch. I still haven't beaten the first trial because I don't really play that often. But I love Hogwarts Legacy. Some people consider Animal Crossing gaming. People don't, but I played a lot of Animal Crossing during COVID. It was actually right after I left Japan, and I was like really depressed about leaving. So I rebuilt a replica of Takeshita Street in Harajuku in Animal Crossing, and I even had an Akihabara district.
I have no idea what that means, but it sounds cool.
So in Tokyo, Akihabara is like the electronic district where like the maid cafes are. There's a lot of arcades. There's a lot of like electronic stores. That's Akihabara. In Harajuku, there's this street called Takeshita Street, and Takeshita Street, it's like a crepe shop like every 10 feet basically, and there's like cute clothes. Like when you think of like the Harajuku girls of cute Lolita stuff, that's Takeshita Street. Like the really bright Harajuku clothes, that's Takeshita Street. Even the Goth Lolita, that's Takeshita Street. So it's all like fashion, cute stuff, stores, crepe shops, and I used to spend a lot of time there when I lived in Tokyo, and I missed it dearly. So yeah, I just kind of rebuilt Takeshita Street, like in Animal Crossing, and I've been meaning to make a thread just to show that off, like the side by side with the photo versus my Animal Crossing thing, so you can see like my Animal Crossing things side by side with the actual place, because I was really hard on that, and it was my own therapy to go back to Tokyo when I couldn't be in Tokyo.
So, did you become a Harajuku girl?
No, unfortunately, no. I became friends with one.
Well, that's close enough,
Yeah. Well, actually, she's a YouTuber. We haven't spoken in a while, but we met up a few times. I don't know if you know Kathy Cat, the YouTuber.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, we got together a few times. I'm on her Discord, but I never get on it anymore. But she's real cool. They say don't meet your idols, but she's actually just as sweet a person as she is on YouTube. So she's great.
I mean, on YouTube, I'm basically like an old man still figuring out how like to click everything, and I run in the comic circles for the most part.
Yeah,
but
she's Japan kawaii stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, she's German, but she lives in Japan, and she's fluent in Japanese, like very fluent in Japanese and everything. Like she definitely runs circles around me, and I speak it fairly well.
I need to get out more. God. I mean, so are there any movies that you're looking forward to? Because I'm having trouble finding movies to look forward to.
Oh, goodness. Well, I was looking forward to Nosferatu, and that's already out. That's already streaming.
I heard that was good.
I liked it. I thought it was romantic, but of course, a very ancient, grotesque vampire raising hell because he's in love with a woman. Of course, I would think that's romantic.
Yeah.
Like, there's this one scene where he's like, "You are my affliction," and I'm like, and he's like almost menacingly walking towards her, and like he's got this growling voice, and I'm like, and, of course, and then most people are probably like, "Oh, it's so scary!" Like, and I'm thinking like, That's so sweet. Like, I know he's grotesque and he's half rotted, but it's like,
Wait.
like those are some very sweet, romantic, poetic words.
See,
where's my ancient vampire that's half rotted telling me that I'm his affliction, that I am not for humankind and stuff? Like, that's sweet. That's romantic speak. Like, fun.
I went to film school, so I had to watch the original Nosferatu, like the silent film Nosferatu.
Yeah.
So I am used.
All deleted.
Oh, it was, but then I think there were some prints that survived, and they've been used in film schools for a while. I'm trying to find a picture of the original vampire because I just think of that whenever I think of Nosferatu.
He looks like, or Peter from What We Do in the Shadows looks like Nosferatu. Or they modeled Peter.
Here we go.
From that.
I'm doing my old man thing where I'm slowly figuring out how to do this.
It's okay. I'm a bit of a boomer on my streams.
Hang on. Here we go. Yeah. This is the original.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows? The movie?
No.
Okay.
I have heard of it though.
Okay, so there's a vampire that looks just like him. They modeled him after Nosferatu. His name is Peter, and it's hilarious. So yeah, I would check out the movie before the show. The show's great too, but yeah, he looks just like the old school Nosferatu. And you know, in the current Nosferatu, he has this big mustache that a lot of people have actually knocked. But I was looking it up, just because I'm a nerd, and apparently the era for which he was supposed to be from, big mustaches were the thing.
Ah.
So they actually made him like period accurate in that aspect for his age.
Does this image evoke any feelings of romance or?
That does not. No. Yeah, that does not.
But yeah, I've been trying to find movies to be excited about this year. The closest I got was they're doing a spin-off from John Wick called The Ballerina.
Oh, I know they're supposed to do like a spin-off of John Wick show called The Continental, I think. I haven't really heard anything about that, but I love John Wick. Like, I love John Wick. He's just...
Hold on, let me... I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just gushing over John Wick.
Please continue.
Oh, yeah.
I just recently watched all of them. Like, I saw the first one a while back, and then I saw like part of the second one, and I recently binge watched all four, and I liked it a lot, even though I thought 3 and 4 got a little over the top. But I mean, at the same time, I think it's supposed to be kind of over the top, but still.
Yeah, it's like how Fast and the Furious went from like an actual plot line to cars, and women in skimpy shorts. John Wick went from a plot to like kill, like yes. However, they can pull it off in John Wick. I even though it kind of took that turn towards all about like the kills, I really think that they pulled it off just fine. That it doesn't take away from it like it does in the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, Fast and Furious got ridiculous.
Yeah, I like the first one.
Yeah, me too. Like, the first one was great, and then now they're like dropping cars in space, and like there was talk of them doing a crossover with like Jurassic Park. And I think just recently, Vin Diesel was like, yeah, we're going to try to make it more grounded now. I'm like, yeah, you're about 10 movies too late, but okay.
Yeah.
Let me see.
They're still pumping those out. Like, there's so many of them. I don't even know how many there are out now.
But yeah, this is the spin-off of John Wick called The Ballerina. And
okay.
Yeah, I think it's revealed that John Wick is still alive.
Oh, I see. At the end of the last one, I was like, "There's no way he's dead." Like they have to be able to bring him back. He's John Wick. Like he's practically invincible.
I mean, it was, but I thought like that was a good character ending for him, considering he, like, you know, it's like he just desperately wanted to be back with his wife, and it's like that's kind of how he gets back with her, but now it's like, nope, he's still alive.
Well, when you're Baba Yaga, it's kind of hard to die.
Let's see. It's going back to the same. Let's see. It's not clear what timeline, where it is in the timeline, so.
Oh. Well, that's cool. I didn't hear about that. Like, I love John Wick. I'm excited about that now.
Yeah, I saw the trailer on a stream, and it blew my mind. Because I mean, I like how it's an action movie with a female lead, but they're not making it super unrealistic. Like she's not like bodying men who are like twice her size. She's like using the things around her to get the advantage over them and stuff. Like they're making it more believable, even though it's John Wick and they're still doing crazy gun fu.
Yeah.
But like I'm psyched about that.
Was that Mila Kunis?
No, I don't know who it was.
It looked a little like Mila Kunis. I like Mila Kunis.
I wanted to be really excited about the the Odyssey movie, because I love the Odyssey with a passion. I love Greek mythology. Then I saw the cast, and I'm like, no. But basically, yeah, we've got Tom Holland, who's now in everything, playing Telemachus. We've got Charlize Theron, Anne Hathaway, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, John Bernthal. I agree with that one can stay. Ben Safdie, John Leguizamo, Elliot Page, Mia Goth, and I think Odysseus is being played by Matt Damon. No. I don't want to see monotone, kind of introspective, Matt Damon playing himself for the 30th time as Odysseus.
Matt Damon.
My dream cast for Odysseus would be Hugh Jackman.
Oh, yes. Yes.
He has the physical look, and he's got the acting range. Mm-hmm. He could have killed it.
Even if they made it a musical, he still has that range. He's got some pipes on him, too.
Yes, and now there's a rumor claiming that it's possible Robert Downey Jr. will play Poseidon. What is this guy thinking? That's what I want to know.
What kind of vision do they have for that? That's like a weird. Like, I love Robert Downey Jr.
No, me too, but that's such a weird casting choice for Poseidon.
That's very. Yeah.
So yeah, we don't know who most of these people are playing. Although if I were to speculate, I'm gonna say Lupita Nyong'o and Zendaya will probably play Circe and Calypso. That's my guess.
I think Charlize Theron would be okay.
Most likely, she would play Penelope.
Yeah, I like John Leguizamo a lot, but I don't know who he would be. Who he would fit like that? That's a very weird choice, but like. I do like Tom Holland. I know he's like in a lot now, but his career is going like explosively. But he's a really good actor. I think he could do almost anything, honestly.
I appreciate your faith. I am not so optimistic.
Robert Pattinson also has come out trying to break away from the whole Twilight fiasco of how it started his career. He's really starting to, I guess, blossom out of that, which is great because he actually is a really great actor. I don't know how and why his performance in Twilight was so dry. I think that's how they wanted him to play it.
Oh yeah.
Because if you see him in other movies, he's just like phenomenal.
Well, I'll tell you, like, when he was first cast as Batman, I was very like, no, this isn't gonna work. And I just recently watched the Batman movie, and he proved me wrong. He blew me away.
Yeah, he's actually a really great actor. I think the whole Twilight background is just, it wasn't a great start for him. Like, in a way it was, because it got his name out there, but he was kind of like, not really typecast, but kind of like known for Twilight. But he's got so much more to give than Edward Cullen, which I will say, Twilight is actually one of my guilty pleasures.
Oh no.
But it's a guilty pleasure, so I understand how bad it is. But I read the books. The books are actually okay. But whenever I get really bored and feeling like, I guess, sadomasochistic, I'll have a Twilight marathon.
I don't want to unfollow you on Twitter. Come on.
Hey, look at it this way. Like, it's a romance story, and it's got vampires. Like,
sparkly vampires. I remember my cousin made me watch Twilight in the theaters with her, and I was laughing half the time, and the other half I'm like, okay, is this thing over? Like, are we wrapping it up now? Like,
well, in the book, it's not supposed to be just like sparkle. It's like as if diamonds, like it's like your skin is diamond, because it's supposed to be super hard skin, like diamonds. Like they have just cold, really hard skin. Like you can't even, like, if you try to stab like a vampire in the Twilight world, the knife would bend because their skin's supposed to be like hard and tough as diamonds, and it shines like diamonds. So that was kind of how they were pictured, I guess. And it's supposed to be, so it's not supposed to be just like glitter sparkles. It's supposed to be like diamond skin.
well, I will take your word for that.
You don't have to read the book to confirm or anything. I read them for you, so.
But I think John Bernthal, like, I want to know who he's gonna play, because he would be awesome, which is why I'm thinking he's only gonna be in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I think they could really, for the Odyssey, I think they could actually make it multiple parts.
Oh, they could.
Instead of just like one movie, because there's so much that, like, I know it's not a really long, like, story, but there's a lot that goes on.
Oh, definitely. And I think part of my bitterness about this movie is that I had a dream of, like, I went to film school and everything. I had a dream of adapting the Odyssey into a movie. And I had it all planned out, and I was going to have Hugh Jackman as Odysseus, and then Christopher Nolan comes up and just takes the idea, and he casts all these people, these horrible people, and he ruined it. He ruined the whole thing.
Yeah.
He ruined the story. Didn't you want to see what was the name of that? What was the name of that movie, that series that Matt Damon was big? Bourne. Don't you want to see Jason Bourne in ancient Greece?
No, I didn't even see the Bourne Identity or any of the Bourne series. I just was not even interested.
Oh, and latest news: Zendaya has joined Shrek 5 as Shrek's daughter, because that's a very obvious casting choice.
Okay. That's all I gotta say. Okay. Like, Zendaya's not a bad actress, but...
No, you're... No, like... No, yeah. I've seen her be good in I've seen her perform well in certain roles, but it's the fact that she's in everything, and she's constantly shown just scowling. Like, you know.
She's got a great scout, though.
But it's like, I'm wondering, in the Odyssey, what version of the I'm too good for this scowl are we going to get?
Yeah.
Are we going to get the I'm really bored that I'm here scowl? Are we going to get the I'm angry at your existence scowl?
Probably that one.
Are we going to get the I'm oppressed scowl? Now see, this is not a bad shot that they chose for this.
Yeah.
She actually has the intensity look. Let's see some of that in the movies.
Yeah.
But yeah. This is a very bizarre choice. And why are they even making a Shrek 5?
No.
Like
Shrek was like after the second Shrek, or even the third Shrek. It just could have stopped there, honestly.
yes. Like that's the biggest problem in well, I mean, that's not the biggest problem. There's a lot of problems in modern Hollywood, but the biggest thing is not knowing when to stop.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like over milking it. Absolutely
yes.
over-milking it.
Because I mean, like we were talking about the MCU earlier. It's like that I feel like Endgame should have just been the cap.
Yeah.
That should have been it. And like,
Yeah.
it would have been fun to see the other characters grow beyond that, but I feel like it's like with as much as they did, it's like you gotta call it quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, and although Spider-Man No Way Home was great, because I liked how they brought the other ones back for a multiverse thing to try to like bring them all together. I did like that a lot. However, Endgame, I like a lot of people hate Endgame, but I loved it, especially that last fight scene. That is like the best like whole like scene part of
Yes.
the entire MCU. It all comes together right there. And I was like over the moon seeing that. And I was living in Japan whenever it came out, and I saw it like literally 8 times. I would like look up
wow.
schedules for the Japanese subtitles so they're in English, and I would go watch it. But then I get distracted because I'm like reading the Japanese subtitles, and I'm like, that's not exactly what he's saying in English. So that kind of got a little distracting, but I still saw it like 8 times.
Dang. See, I think I only saw it like once, but I know like, oh wait, no, I actually waited for it to come out on streaming, and then I saw it then.
Wow.
But I loved the best scene in the whole movie for me was Cap getting Mjolnir.
Oh yeah. Yes.
It was the best moment in the whole thing.
It was because like in the comics he's worthy to wield Mjolnir.
Of course, he is the American ideal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really think that playing Captain America is really a challenge, because you can easily. Okay, I'm not saying Captain America is boring, but to try to portray somebody like that on screen can really come off as boring. I think Chris Evans did a great job of not making him boring, because people can see Captain America think he's such a clean-cut goody two-shoes, which he kind of is. But Chris Evans was still able to bring some life to him without taking away what he is, which is the best of the best of so much. You know, best morals, best integrity. Best everything. So I think he did a great job. I think the casting for the MCU for the most part was wonderful. Captain Marvel was probably not the best choice for casting. But, I can't stand her. But I think most of the casting for the MCU is just on point.
I would agree. Yeah, Captain Marvel, that wasn't worth anything. But I mean, nobody even remembers Captain Marvel, except for YouTube.
Yeah, I know the Quartering complained about Brie Larson a lot.
Yes, but she, from what I understand, she's been having a little bit of a redemption arc. She's been coming out saying like, can we stop getting all political in movies and stuff? And we're like, Brie Larson, we hardly knew ye.
Wow, you've learned your lesson, or that you got red pilled some way.
I mean, I doubt she's been red pilled, but that's
the celebrities that are red pilled, you'll never know because they won't talk politics.
yes. But I'm hoping that we're entering a new age when that is going to change. Because I mean,
actors are ruining movies before they come out.
I mean, even what's his name? Star-Lord.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Even Chris Pratt coming out as a hardcore Christian in public, like that blew my mind. I had never heard anybody use the name Jesus outside of cursing in a speech before in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think he married Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm thinking who he married, because I know him and Anna Faris got divorced. But I think he married Arnold's daughter. I don't know what her name is, but yeah, I think he married her.
Yes, indeed. Well, we are getting to about that time for us to be wrapping it up, but I have had a great time talking with you.
Yeah, same.
So, where can everybody find you?
Well, on YouTube, you can just look up Libertarian Goth. I do have a new stream that's never regular on time called The Alternative Sovereign, discussing politics and alternative culture. And I also am on X mostly. It's at Libertarian Goth with a 0 for the O in Goth, because Libertarian Goth is already taken. I'm on Rumble, but I don't really do much on Rumble. But libertariangoth.com is my shop. If you want to look up some alternative flared Liberty gear, that is where I am. I also have a pinup calendar for sale there, as well as I did some pinup modeling because people kept pestering me about making a calendar, so I went ahead and did it.
I mean, I can't blame them.
So there's that. But yeah, I like to talk with people. I don't get to respond to every single reply on all my posts, but I do kind of try if I get the chance. But I do read all the replies and try to like them all. And so I like to talk to people. So yeah, you can always communicate with me on X. And yeah.
Awesome. And of course, everybody, I am Ben, aka the Fusebox. You can find me on Twitter at Fusebox7 with 2 X's. And my old account was hacked at Knights Outlaw, so if you get a message from them, do not respond and report them immediately. It is taking X forever to take them down, and I have no idea why. And you can also find me here on YouTube on Fusebox Engaged. I'm going to try to do these streams more regularly. I have been bad about it, but I have come back for my reunion, my revival tour. And you can find me on Facebook under my real name, Ben Fuselier, Fuselier. And I have to do a little bit of shameless self-promotion for a second. And of course, it's going to take me a minute. Here we go. Outlaw Knights Genesis of a Renegade Part 2. The email list is live. We are finishing up the last 2 pages of this epic saga. Well, this epic issue of this 10-issue saga. Space pirates, guns, a dystopian future, and a fight to carve their own peace out in the universe. That's what this series is all about. Issue 1 is still available on Indiegogo under the Second Chance campaign. We are in demand, and put it in order today. You are going to get an order within a week or so. Get it within a week or so. I guarantee you. I am tripping over my words. But Yes, let me play a little trailer for everybody really, really quick. Alright. My shameless self-promotion is over for right now. And if you like anything we had to say, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Be sure to hit the bell for notifications. And heck, if you didn't like anything we had to say, go ahead and hit the dislike button too, because love me or hate me, doesn't matter. It feeds me. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, and I will talk to you all later.
Bye. Thank you for having me.